No one's pretending the Dolphins didn't try to reshape their defense this offseason. They threw picks and contracts at the problem. They reloaded the front seven, beefed up safety depth, tossed 5 of their 8 draft picks toward defense. But when it came time to fix what's clearly the most fragile part of their defense, cornerback, they hesitated, looked the other way, did something but also nothing. That's the kind of move that makes you squint and ask what they think they're seeing that no one else is. The concern didn't come out of nowhere. It's not a hidden issue. It's right there, unavoidable. The same defense that wants to stand tall against names like Allen, May, Fields, and Wilson has, at the moment, a cornerback group that feels cobbled together, wishful. And if Jalen Ramsey isn't in the mix, which every sign seems to scream he won't be, then what's left is a void padded with guesses. ESPN's Dan Graziano pointed a flashlight at this exact situation. Not because it's subtle, because it's not. He's looking at the Dolphins and wondering, loudly, why a team that appears ready to compete didn't do more to stabilize its weakest link. The answer isn't coming easily. Not because it's complicated, but because it just doesn't make sense. They addressed defense, yes. They moved with purpose in so many spots. But here, where it's most urgent, a 5th-round rookie, a veteran well past his prime, and a holdover who showed flashes but isn't proven at the level they'll need? That's the move. Ramsey is the sticking point. Not because he's the plan, because he's not. They've made it clear they're trying to move him. And when he's gone, because at this point it's when, not if, Kader Kohou becomes the de facto leader of a room that hasn't had time to grow into the roles they're being forced into. Kohou, who fought hard last year and earned respect, suddenly has to anchor a group. Behind him, there's Artie Burns, who's more memory than momentum at this stage of his career. Then there's Jason Marshall Jr., a 5th-round flyer who might develop but isn't ready now. Kendall Sheffield just got added, out of a tryout. And that's the full picture. That's the group. They had 8 picks. They waited until round 5 to draft a corner, despite the glaring need. It's not that they were unaware. It's that they saw it, acknowledged it, and then made other choices. Maybe they thought Cam Smith would make the leap. Maybe they still believe that he'll become the guy, that a year of learning and a full offseason will be enough. Maybe, but maybe not. You don't build an NFL secondary on maybes when the receivers lined up across from you include Stephon Diggs, Garrett Wilson, Ja'Marr Chase, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin. You don't gamble with shadows when quarterbacks like Josh Allen don't blink before launching 40-yard lasers. That's not optimism. That's fantasy. The secondary, even with the new faces at safety, still lags. It's near the bottom statistically and on paper. Ramsey was the one thing that kept it propped up. Remove him and you're relying on potential that hasn't arrived yet. Smith hasn't started. Duck is untested. Marshall Jr. isn't even guaranteed to make the 53. The names don't form a wall. They form a question. So where does this go? They've boxed themselves into 3 paths. None of them simple, all of them loud. First path. Stay the course. Ride with what they've got. Trust the youth. Trust the coaching. Trust the internal growth. Hope that Smith becomes a CB1 overnight. Hope that Kohou is more than what he showed last year. Hope that someone like Duck or Marshall Jr. can make a leap they weren't expected to. That's a plan only in theory. On the field, it's Russian roulette with 5 bullets. Second path. Go fishing in free agency. The pool isn't deep, but it's still got some names that can give you more than the current depth chart. James Bradbury is out there. So is Kendall Fuller, Stephon Gilmore, Mike Hilton, Rasul Douglas. None of them are in their prime, but they've played real snaps against real talent. They know how to prepare. They know how to survive in big moments. Even if their legs aren't what they once were, their minds are sharp. And maybe that's enough to stabilize the chaos and buy time for the young guys. Third path, swing big. Make the call. Pull off a trade that shifts everything. Jair Alexander? He's been whispered in rumors. Jamal Dean? Greg Newsome. Those names have circulated too. It would cost something. Picks, players, flexibility. But if this team is serious about competing, about punching with the contenders, then they can't go to war with the secondary they currently have. They need a leader back there. Someone who sets a tone. who the offense has to think twice about before challenging. What's troubling isn't just that they didn't do enough. It's that they had chances. The draft handed them opportunities. Free agency had waves. The window was open, and they didn't walk through it, which means either they believe something no one else does, or they've misread the moment. Maybe the front office sees Ramsey differently. Maybe they believe there's a deal coming that brings back a corner worth plugging in. Maybe they think Cam Smith will explode. But they're betting big, and the stakes aren't small.